I remember, like, at school feeling so different from everyone else, from like all my peers until I came here, and then finally feeling like it was normal and cool even to be Jewish. I'm pretty sure that I learned how to walk on this ramp because my mom was the religious school director around my time of toddlerhood. This was my bat mitzvah, actually. Yeah, Hannah and Henry and Denise and Romit. Romit also just got married, actually. Andrew and Jonathan and Nathan. But this was actually, if that was my bat mitzvah, then this was before I officially joined Tasty. So I basically grew up here, and my brother kind of paved a way for me in that, you know, he had friends and he understood what Hebrew school was and what religious school was. And even though I was young and things seemed relatively foreign to me, I knew that if he was here and it was okay with him, it was okay with me too. And also my mom was never far away either. So as I grew from my mom's office into a classroom, I think I always felt relatively comfortable, especially in that this probably was one of my first social groups of kids my age, and they were all Jewish. So that from the start was normal for me. And so then going to public school, meeting kids that weren't Jewish, it was so strange. Like the questions I was asked growing up about what it meant to be different from them, I didn't always know how to answer because I didn't have a lot of exposure to who they were either. So as I grew through school, and also attended religious school here, I was kind of ostracized by my peers for being Jewish. I grew up in a pretty rural area where my peers were mostly homogenous. And so when I was in secular settings, I felt really strange and I didn't really quite know where I belonged. And so that caused me to disconnect a little bit with my Jewish identity, actually. To the point where I wasn't coming to Hebrew school as often, and I don't know, I think I was pretty lost. And so from then on, once I saw my peers from Temple that stayed connected, start to go through these big life transitions and like coming of age moments like bar mitzvah or even their siblings' bar mitzvahs, I felt a little left out of a community I once belonged to. And I don't know, I think that maybe I thought that it could have been too late for me to reconnect, even though I was, 11, 12? It's over. But it only took a summer at Coleman for me to feel really reconnected with my Jewish identity and my Jewish peers. And I thought it was so amazing to find out that other people who I grew up with also had that experience at Coleman, like you and, you know, Preston. Like I would see names I recognized written on walls or like the tables in the Minsky, right?
Which was the dining hall.
Right, which was the dining hall. So crazy. And I was like, oh, like people who started where I started also ended up here and they turned out all right. So I think I will too. Let me stick with this thing. So from then I was in it. I was here for hours every week studying Hebrew, learning everything I needed to know for my bat mitzvah. And I had my bat mitzvah in 2012. My parsha was Bechukotai I actually tutored a Bar Mitzvah student last week, and I was trying to find my parsha within hers, because, the aliyot are a little different, but that was crazy because I still remember it.
And that's what you do now? What do you do now?
So now I am the director of teen initiatives at Milwaukee Jewish Federation in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But I also tutor Bar Mitzvah students at a Reform congregation, Congregation Shalom in Milwaukee. And I teach 5th grade Hebrew in Milwaukee as well. And I'm getting my master's in Jewish education. So I have a lot of irons in the fire, but they're all within the same scope of Jewish education. And I think that right now I'm getting to be involved professionally in a lot of the things that I was involved as a young person, so that I can see which one of my mentors I would like to be when I grow up, So whether it be my youth group advisor or my Bar Mitzvah tutor or my religious school teacher, I think that those are all really great possibilities for me. And actually within my role at Federation, funny enough, I oversee the Teen Philanthropy Board, which is a program that exists here, where a group of teens fundraise and allocate money to local nonprofit organizations through a RFP, request for proposal process. So I facilitate that process for the teens in helping them evaluate those applications and those nonprofits and help them understand how places like synagogues or other local organizations get their funds, how they use them, and why they're important. And then the teens and I work together to make a decision on which of those organizations should be funded. So last year, we allocated $4,500 to 4 different local organizations, the majority of them being Jewish. And that's been a really, really gratifying experience for both me and my teens. And then I also coordinate a program called Student to Student locally, which empowers Jewish students to teach their non-Jewish peers about Jewish culture, Jewish identity, Jewish tradition, and what their Jewish experiences look like in their daily lives. Because I think that it would be so cool if any kid that went to public school their entire lives and maybe never really had an experience at Shabbat dinner or, was in relationship with a Jew, were able to go to college, meet a Jewish student and say, oh, it's Friday. What are you doing for Shabbat dinner tonight? Right? Wouldn't that be crazy? But I don't know, maybe my rose-colored glasses and my dream reality isn't so far-fetched. I really believe that through this program, I could see it happen. Just last week, I brought 4 teen presenters to a Catholic school to present to 52 high school seniors. And it was really interesting, actually. One of the seniors asked them if they celebrated Ash Wednesday. And my teen, who grew up going to Jewish day school, said, I don't even know what that is, right? So it was like a dually educational opportunity for my teens and those students as well to get exposure to different cultures and just communicate across difference. And while it was tough for me to grow up amongst a lot of peers who didn't really understand who I was or what I was about, I really think that experience allowed me to empower kids like me to feel ownership and agency over their identity and give back to the larger, not only Jewish community, but secular community as well, in communicating across difference and making sure that we can have those difficult conversations and understand each other better. I think after my summer at Coleman, when I returned, I definitely had this new found I want to say like almost like fervor for Jewish community, because I just thought it was so foreign and so cool. Like,
You wanted camp to go on forever.
exactly. Yeah, right. Like every good kid. And so, first of all, I was so grateful to Rabbi Romberg for giving me that experience. I just like couldn't fathom that many memories or smiles or, you know, anything could be provided by one person or one community in, you know, helping me get scholarships and really just providing that where it otherwise wouldn't have been possible. But also I remember being in confirmation class, and I believe the prayer that we were looking at was Elohai Neshama, and the question Rabbi Romberg asked was, which one of these, or which of the following is this prayer about? And one of the options was like awakening the soul. And I remember singing in my head a verse of a melody of that song that I learned at camp, the Casey Prusher, Elohai Neshama.
Yeah, we still sing that here.
Really? Amazing. Wow. And the Hebrew part of that is you created me, you shaped me, you breathed me into life. Yeah. And so I remember singing that in my head and knowing the answer to his question because of the song. And he like looked at me and he was like, this is why you need to do this with your life. Like, you were able to make these connections. And I was like, I am the greatest person in this classroom right now. And I felt really, really inspired and like seen in that moment. I think especially like when you're in 10th grade and you don't think that you're good at anything, like that's such an awkward time in someone's life. To be seen in that way and told like, yes, this is your gift, I think was really, really inspiring for me. And also clearly, like, since I still remember that to this day and hardly remember what I ate for breakfast this morning, it had a huge role in my trajectory thereafter. And actually, I wrote an essay for a scholarship contest, actually, me and my scholarships, and actually didn't end up getting the scholarship, but I wrote the essay about being a young person in the Bible Belt, essentially, in Jewish community and what that felt like for me. And I sent it to Rabbi Romberg and I said, I don't know what to do with this essay now. Want to read it? And he said, yes, actually, and I'll put it in the paper. So it went into the Tallahassee Democrat. I'm sure there's still a copy of that somewhere. I could find it. And I think I just talked about how I felt like I used to feel like my Judaism was a bit of a burden to bear because it made me unpopular and different. And then it became something that I was proud to bring onto my shoulders. And after that article got published, Rabbi Romberg sent it to his friend, Rabbi Baruch Kraus, who was the director of Nifty EIE at the time, high school in Israel. And they worked together to get me there. So in the fall semester of 2014, my junior year, I spent a semester at Kibbutz Suba, outside of Jerusalem. And the things that I learned there allowed me to see that, like, once I returned back to Tallahassee, to my high school, that the world was so much bigger than whatever high school problems existed. And also that, like, the one quote that I always took with me, worse things have happened to the Jewish people. like always. Because we also went to the concentration camps in Poland and saw everything that happened there. And it really brought everything into perspective for me. And I remember standing in Majdanek, where there's a huge pile of ash. And like the sun was setting behind us, our like shadows were like cast upon the ashes. It was insanely like poetic, and I don't know, it was a crazy moment. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like I've been given this gift, like literally by being here and metaphorically by finding meaning in this. And first of all, I can never let this happen again, if I have anything to do with it. And also, I think this is what I need to do with my life. I think that I need to allow other students to have these opportunities like I did. So thank you, Rabbi Romberg, for allowing me to find that in myself. And I hope that one day as a result, I actually remember saying this like directly into the Western Wall, as if it could hear me. Like I didn't know what I should be doing there. It just felt like there was like a lot of buildup and people were praying, and this was the penultimate moment of going to Israel. And I remember that one like wish that I put in the wall was to be able to impact other people the way that I had been impacted by those before me. And I feel like I'm getting there.